Hello, Alina. Right. Let's. How do I add you? Here we go. Hey, Jojo. Jodie's joined. Yay! Oh, here we go.
Hello.
Hello. We've done it. Amazing.
Thank God it worked. It's
Yeah,
boring.
it's working. Oh my god. My friend Jodie's in here from Birmingham.
Oh,
Yeah.
hi.
I think we're gonna get more of your followers in here than mine. But we'll just have to
It's fine.
start in a minute if you join. Yeah, I put a little message in our other group chat as well, just to
Yeah. I was going to message, but then I wasn't too sure, so.
I was just like, let's just do it. Why not?
Why not?
Can you hear me okay, by the way? I've got my phone resting on a laptop. So
yeah. You sound fine to me.
Okay, good. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Oh, I feel like I'm underprepared for this, even though we've prepared.
Yeah. I think we're just going to end up rambling, but it's fine.
Yeah, this is all it's about. It's just a conversation.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So we have come on here to talk about what's been going on recently, obviously in the news, regarding Sarah and women's rights, and we just think it's really important to keep this conversation alive because it's not really getting it's not really a conversation. People are sharing things on social media, which is really important, but I think there's not a lot of male voices, I've noticed personally. I don't know about you. Oh, hello. Oh, this better not be my Wi-Fi. Hello? Oh no. Okay. Right, Alina, I'm adding you back. Typical that this happens, isn't it?
Sorry, I don't know what happened.
I can't see you now. Can you see
me now?
yourself? No, it's black.
Oh. I'm just going to send another request because my phone went all funny.
Okay.
Got a lot of technical issues.
Wait, hang on. Can I remove you from this and then re-add you in?
I'm not too sure.
Hey, Liv. Okay. Wait, so can you exit it and then I'll add you back in?
Yeah.
Hey, Ali. Okay. Let's try and... I don't know if this is going to work. Oh, okay. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know how this is happening. I'm trying to add Alina back in. Okay. Let's see if this works now. Yay!
I think it's my Wi-Fi. It's really dodgy here.
I've just turned off my Wi-Fi. I'm on my data now, so hopefully that helps with all the issues. Yeah.
So yeah, carry on with what you were saying because I cut out halfway through when you were talking.
Yeah, I just think it's important to talk about what's going on. And I think there has been some misinformation on social media about some things that needs clearing up. And then I just think having this conversation and including a lot of people in it is really important because we can all learn new things.
Definitely.
By doing that.
It's so easy just to see one side as well, especially with social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many examples where you only see just one side of the story and you look into it more and it's like, oh, actually, that's not really the case.
Yeah.
But everything that's been going on at the moment has sparked another quite big and important movement, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Winton area recently, we had some stabbings and of some women, and that really put people up on alert. And then we were talking about this the other day, how I found out the other day that we aren't actually allowed to carry pepper spray on us, which I think is really unfair. We were saying how we understand why, because people can misuse it.
Yeah.
But maybe having a law where women have a really small amount in their purse, like a lipstick size,
or
so that they can protect themselves.
Nail varnish size.
Yeah.
It can't do too much damage, but it can keep you safe. But yeah, carrying a pepper spray, even if it was this size now, it carries the same kind of charges as carrying a gun.
Exactly, which
Okay.
is ridiculous. But yeah, because I feel like as good as, you know, like there's the setting that you can put on your phone which makes like a loud noise and calls someone, what if there's no one around to hear it? You know, some people aren't physically strong enough to try and fight someone off, so having that little bit, just one spray, can like leg it and hopefully get them to safety.
You know what I love to carry with me? Do I have it? I had it earlier when we were out. There it is. Let me just grab this. So this is my favourite weapon. I've got this water bottle, and it's a metal reusable one, and it's huge. So when I'm walking, so if I get the bus or something, or public transport, and I'm walking home at night, and about a 10-minute walk from my house to the bus stop, I'll be carrying this in my hand. Every time I get off the bus, I do it, because I just, even though I live in a relatively safe area, I don't feel safe enough to do that. So I'm sure this is always full.
I mean, it's a good weapon.
Like, I could probably knock someone out with this.
Definitely. But yeah, it's a shame though that like even in safe areas, people, especially women, do have to feel like they need to carry something on them. Like, I wouldn't walk around alone at night. No. Ever.
Especially women.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I was walking literally just to the other road to see some of my mates, I would, you know, I mean, I've had Tahir walk me over before, because I'm like, oh, I don't really want to go by myself, just in case, because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And obviously it's clear with what's happened with Sarah. I mean, it's awful.
That could have happened to any of us.
Exactly.
And it's not to like take away from what's happened to her, but it could have happened to anyone that you know.
Exactly.
I think it could have happened to me like a few times. You know, I don't know if I told you the other day about what I went through. God, it was 2 years ago now. It all happened at the same time. Went through a few different things, like cases like this, but it was one specific one. It was like almost in the middle of the night. I was going home from work at the place that I used to work, that you know.
Yeah.
And I was on the bus, and this weirdo just like came and sat next to me, and without it being like a stereotype, he was like the creepy mustache, like serial killer, like sort of lookalike.
Yeah.
And he was sat right next to me on the bus when there was lots of other free seats, and he just stared at me. And I was terrified. I was like, if I get off the bus, he's gonna know where I live, he might follow me home, something might happen to me.
Yeah.
But luckily there was a couple there that like intervened and helped me and got me off the bus home. Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. It's good that people took the initiative to actually help you as well. There's a lot of people that will just stand and watch, which is I can't remember the name for it now, but it's sort of like, if you see something happening, you assume that someone else will do it, like fix it, which isn't the case. Like, be the person to help fix it. Exactly.
It's not necessarily enabling behaviour, but it's just not stepping in. You should.
Yeah, well, it's like, I don't know who it was that I was watching a video of, but he was saying how his mate ended up raping one of his mates.
Yeah.
And instead he saw the behaviour, but he didn't do anything about it, and because he thought he was doing nothing about it meant that he wasn't a bad guy, but in reality, like, if he would have stepped up, that wouldn't have happened, full stop.
No.
So it's hard, because obviously you don't want to blame everyone, because that's not fair. Like, you can't blame someone for not doing something when they didn't think it was going to happen, but at the same time, if you see risky behaviour in your mates and stuff, maybe say like, oh, that's not right, like that's not funny.
I think as well, there's been situations, like even with me, where I've been around people, like my old boss would mention things like, and sexualize women, like that would be in our sort of vicinity. And obviously he's done some things since, which I've looked back at it literally, like, you know what, within the last half hour I actually thought, oh shit, if I'd said something, that would have stopped. But then I think I have said something, actually. I said so many times, like, that's disgusting, it's inappropriate, what you're doing. And it's how he is. But
I definitely think, for like, especially in the workplace, if there is someone in charge of you and they're making comments like that, it's so easy just to laugh and be like, oh, haha. You know, just like that awkward laugh, just brush it off, because you don't want to have a confrontation about it. I know that I've had from, not even just in the workplace, but just from like older men being like, oh, say a comment about me or say a comment about someone else, and I've brushed it off and done an awkward laugh and then try to get away as quick as possible because you don't want that awkward confrontation.
Yeah. No, I've had so a couple of years ago when I first moved back down to Bournemouth, because I'm from here originally, I worked at I was temping and I worked somewhere over in Poole, and I was only there for like 3 weeks, and the boss actually like sexually harassed me or assaulted me. He groped me basically. But also it was a situation where I felt like I had no power, because it was on a work night out. It was like a welcome to the team thing from like my team, with the rest of the team that were already working there. And obviously I'd had like 4 gin and tonics maybe, and at that point I used to drink quite a lot, so I wasn't even drunk. And that just, it really changed me. You don't know how it's going to feel until something happens. So when people were encouraging me to like speak up about it, I looked at all my options, and I just was just like, is it worth my time, my energy? It was already having a really poor mental effect on me, and I decided not to. But there was also like in the same night there was a situation before he did that, where one of my colleagues, like I was wearing like a black dress which had like a v-neck. Do you know what? No, it doesn't matter what I was wearing, but I had a coat on over the top because it was quite chilly in the bar. And this colleague came, and like he came up, and he was like obviously clearly drunk, but like he like pulled apart my coat so that he could like look at my chest and like see my dress. Or he was like, oh, I was just looking at your necklace, but obviously the boss told him off. About 15 minutes later, the boss is like groping me, and then he's asking me repeatedly to text him later, and I stopped drinking, and I wanted to go home. My friend was coming back with me that night to my house, and she didn't want to leave yet, so I was just stuck like, I want to leave, but no one was listening to me. No one really took it seriously. I think that's just like, I felt powerless.
Definitely. I feel like when people start getting drunk and stuff, like on nights out, being a uni student, the amount of times I've been out and I've had men come up to me and say inappropriate things, grope me. I've even had a friend, I was talking to a mate, and then one of his mates came up to me and just pulled my top down. No reason whatsoever. And I was literally standing there like, why have you just done that? You've embarrassed me for no reason. And like, I wasn't even talking to you, we weren't having a joke, you literally just came over and did that to get attention for yourself. And it's like, in those situations, like, you've just ruined a good night out for me. Obviously your boss did that for you, that was supposed to be a good night out for you, and then you left there feeling uncomfortable. And if you can't leave that situation, it's sort of like, and especially when you're waiting for friends, because you don't want to ruin their night, but at the same time it's like, you're not going to have fun because you're going to be panicking, like, what if something like that happens again? So
it's just, you know, it goes to show that even like we don't feel safe enough on the streets with strangers, let alone like who do you know, who can you trust, who can you actually trust?
Exactly.
Why do people make jokes about girls going around in packs? And honestly, it's like, it's a subconscious reason we just feel safe.
It's for them, definitely. Like, it's just, I don't know, I feel like especially with clubbing culture, a lot of things have been accepted that should not be accepted. Like I don't know if it's so much anymore, I haven't seen it as much, but when I like first started clubbing and stuff, guys used to like come behind and start dancing with you, and you wouldn't even know what they looked like or anything like that. They would grab you and you start dancing, and then I remember having conversations with my mates being like, who is it? Is he like, you know, does he look all right and everything like that? And that was just how it was, and it was almost normalized, which isn't normal.
It's
like
not really normal. If someone did that now, I'd be like, who are you?
I would literally turn around and be like, what are you doing?
Like, that you first go out and people were like, they'll literally just grab you by the waist and start dancing, like grinding on you. It's just like, I don't know what to do, because if you turn around and ask them to stop, they'll either just ignore you, or they'll just be like, oh, like, you're a silly bitch. They'll just be really rude to you.
Because it's like, especially like if you like reject someone as well, they'll be like, oh, well, you're ugly anyway, blah blah blah. Start like throwing insults, and it's like, we weren't saying that, we're just not interested. Don't take it as like a real personal thing, like, you know, there's no reason for you to get so defensive about it.
It's just, these issues need to be addressed, and I think we can refine like this conversation more over the next few weeks, like
definitely. Talk about more of this going, and
it's just, it does, it just goes to show like who can we trust, and if anything, like hopefully this might have like made people realize like this is shit we deal with every day. It's like constantly in the back of my mind. Like
yeah.
even tonight when we were volunteering, I was just very cautious of people as well.
I was as well. There was a few like people I was like, ooh, like make sure that, you know, because I mean you're in a skirt as well.
Yeah.
So obviously like that's kind of risky in a way because easy access and all that, isn't it? You know, shouldn't be the case, but you know.
Yeah, literally, it's just.
But it's just because obviously like there's a whole hashtag trending that it's not all men. Obviously we know that. There are plenty of lovely guys out there that won't hurt a fly, but it is the fact that it is like majority of women, it was 97% of women have been sexually harassed.
It's not. I just need to make that a little correction quickly. It's been on social media. It's 90% of women. It's 90% of 18 to 24. 97% of 18 to 24-year-olds, and 80% of all women.
Really?
Yeah, 80% of all women, and then 90%. That's just even in the Western world, though. And I think it's just the UK that we know.
Oh, I wouldn't even want to know if it was a whole
world.
But
97% of all 18 to 24-year-olds. So that's obviously with our age group.
Yeah.
So if there's guys within that age group watching, probably almost all the girls you know have experienced some form of sexual assault or harassment.
Yeah. I mean, it might be an idea to maybe ask them. Because sexual like harassment can go from anything from like an inappropriate comment or a catcall from a car to full on rape.
Yeah. And I think, I really encourage people to ask their friends and try and start conversing about it. Just not even just like listening to it on social media and seeing all these posts and sharing it. Talk about it with the people in your life. Like ask them about situations that they've been in, because you'll find you'll bond with your friend over something unfortunate, but sharing is always something good, obviously. I forgot what I was going to say then. I'm really tired.
Well, I mean, I've personally had some really good chats with some friends that I didn't expect to have a conversation like that with. My housemates, we all had a massive like discussion about it, talking about our personal stories and also talking about friends that we know. Like most women do know someone that has like received some sort of like quite serious sexual harassment. Which is quite a sad thing to state, really.
I've a lot of people that have, and I have to say it's a real shame that out of the ones I know, all of them haven't felt that they can like persecute the person. Yeah,
because that's the other thing, like talking about it to someone, especially like, you know, like to the law and stuff. It's like you said, you were thinking about doing it, but you have to go through such a long process.
It's traumatic to have to like it brings up that trauma of having to talk about it again, even though what I went through isn't to that it's not to that extent. It's still something that makes like, do you know what, for the weeks after what happened with me when I was at the work party happened, like because of all the people, like I was meant to be really close friends with a couple of girls at the workplace. Even the girl that came back with me and stayed here, I told her about it the next morning when we woke up, and I was like, that's why I stopped drinking, like, and it just wasn't taken seriously. I was like,
no,
it hasn't happened to you, but like you're meant to be my girl, like, and then rumors started to spread around the office, and they actually let the boss take me alone into another room and basically threaten my job. And I remember sitting there I remembered wishing that I had my phone so that I could record the conversation.
I mean, it's just not right.
I went home that night and I called in sick the next day. And I didn't go back. I think
most people would do that. I know that I would do that.
Yeah, well, he also, the guy I said, the other colleague that had like pulled apart my jacket. He said that he has a witness that can prove he didn't do it, and it was him. So they basically teamed up against me to like try and like get rid of any claims of any kind of sexual harassment. So ridiculous. I just thought, I'm up against so much. This could drag out, or this could reflect badly on me. I don't know if I have the capacity to do this.
Yeah, and in a way, it's almost not worth it.
No.
In some cases, I mean, in your situation, the job was just sort of like a starter job. Like, it wasn't your full-on career. But it's like, imagine like it happening to like this is your career and it was happening to you in your workplace that you literally like dreamt about.
Then
Like, because
I would have been more passionate about it, but that was
yeah,
just a job for the time.
exactly.
Something. It was worse though because the HR lady was the guy that did its girlfriend, and I don't think she was surprised when she found out actually. From what I
Really?
remember, because I didn't go in, and obviously the girls, I said I was like, I've called in sick today. I'm not actually sick, but I'm not coming back. And they were
Yeah.
like, well, Seth, I'm not gonna say her name actually. The girl that was the HR girl, the girlfriend, they said they haven't spoken like all week.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem surprised. So it seems like something he did before. And I said to the girls when I left, I was like, please, with the other girls, like keep an eye on them and look after them, because if this happens to them, like I don't want it to happen to anyone else. But at the same time, it's not my responsibility to have to persecute him when there's so much coming against me that these guys have like just teamed up, and it's just
exactly. And it's especially with like things when it's not like, you know, just like being groped and stuff, because there isn't any evidence, so then they'll be like, well, there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, just because it's a grope doesn't mean it's any less damaging to someone's mental health.
And it's like it's like, you know, because he was my boss, it's like he's taking advantage. It was obviously inappropriate because it was like, it wasn't even just like a pat on the bum, it was like his hand like went under because I was wearing a dress. And consistently throughout that night he kept like coming up to me when I was like talking with a friend. He'd like whisper in my ear, text me later, and I was just like really creeped out. And at one point I went to the toilet, and when I came out he was stood like sort of outside, almost like he was waiting for me, and I like speed walked up the stairs, and I was like, right, to my friend, I was like, right, we're going now. I was like, we're going, I don't want to be here anymore.
Like he must have known that he was making you uncomfortable. Like, I just don't understand. Like, surely people must realize when someone's getting uncomfortable with what they're doing, and if they're genuinely not a bad person, then they would stop. But clearly some people just don't seem to have that like realization. And also, like, with the fact that your friends like didn't overly support you with it, I've had that before. When I've said things, I've had it laughed at and stuff, and I'm just like, this isn't funny. Like, it makes me feel stupid.
It makes you feel violated. And when people question you, it makes you question yourself. Like, for weeks after it happened, I consistently questioned myself, like, maybe I don't remember that right because I was drinking, maybe I shouldn't have worn that, like I was asking all these questions because of these constructs that society has built up against us and against feeling the way we feel. And it's really, like like I can't even speak now. But
that was said earlier. But yeah, like, I mean, from my experience from like just a stranger, when I was in Bali, me and my mate were walking back to our hostel. It was down a alleyway. A guy was on a little moped, and we didn't realize he was following us at the time, but he went past us one way and we turned down this little side road. So then he turned around and came down the side road, and then we were like, okay, that's a bit weird. Then he suddenly turned around to come back towards us, and as he did, he drove right towards me. I thought I was going to get run over, but he pinned me against the wall. I thought he was then going to go after my bum bag, because obviously I had my money in there, my phone, and I was like, oh my God. So I went to protect that, but he actually grabbed my boobs, and like, it was really forceful. My friend was on the other side of the road. She was literally just stunned, like, what the hell? I was there like, what the hell? Because obviously I was thinking he was going to go for my money, but instead he went for my boobs. And then he just drove off, and I was like, I wish that I would have like slapped him or punched him, but he had like a helmet on, he had a motorbike, so he could have run me over basically. So yeah, and then after that, like, I didn't think that something like that would shake me up, but it really did. And then from then onwards, I was very, very cautious about the people that were around me and stuff. And we moved from that hostel straight away. But it's just like, that's a complete stranger doing that. And, you know, I feel for the women where it's people that they trust and know that it happens to, because like, at least with that situation, I know that I'm probably never going to see that person again, thank God. And it was probably like a one-off thing. But at the time I was very much like, why was it me? Like, obviously I had my friend with me, I'm glad it didn't happen to her, but it's like, why was he targeting me? Was it because I had blonde hair at the time? I was wearing like not a revealing dress, but I had a
Yeah.
like a V-neck, like low V-neck. I was like, was it because of that?
Yeah,
But it shouldn't be because of that.
It's not because of that. It's because he would do that regardless of, like, if you saw you, even if you were wearing like a more like covered top, you'd probably still do the same thing. A perfect example is just walking down the street. I would look like, I'll just look disgusting. I'll be wearing like my joggers and a hoodie and like trainers. My hair will be like in a messy bun, like on top of my head. I'll look like I've just woken up and got out of bed and gone to the shop.
Yeah.
And I'll still get catcalled, beeped from bands, like all of that stuff. And I can go down, like, if I'm going on, like, well, pre-COVID, if I was going on, like, out, I could go down the street in, like, heels and a tiny little dress, and no one will say anything. It goes to show that it doesn't matter what you wear.
No,
if people are going to do it, it's just the right place. Well, the wrong place, the wrong time. People
exactly. And, like, I was talking to actually one of my housemates about this, but she was saying how, and I agree, actually, when she was younger, going to school in her school uniform and walking from like the train station to school, she would get more calls. She would, pretty much every single day, she would get someone beeping her or calling out at her. And this is, you know, from like year 7 till year 11. I can't even work out what ages, but you know, like, imagine beeping at a 15-year-old in a school uniform. And it's just like, that's kind of disgusting that she got more catcalling like that then than what she does now, because it's then just like, what are people thinking? Like, this is a schoolgirl, like, she's going to school, she's not walking around to be sexualized. You've just sexualized her by beeping at her. So, and like, I do agree with that, because I feel like when I was young, I didn't walk into school that much, but whenever I did, or whenever I walked back, there would always be some sort of beep or yelling from the car.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, same for me. It was like, do you know what? It was a lot more at school, because I was walking to and from school. I lived 10 minutes from my school. That 10-minute walk, I tell you, the amount of beeps, it just, and it desensitizes you to it. So I've gotten so used to just walking down the street and ignoring everything around me, but also being hyper aware of who's behind me or who's in front of me and who's coming towards me. That during the day I can block out, you know, stupid white man and that's beeping at you, but at night I can't describe how, like, I'll get off, if I've got the bus somewhere and I get off the bus on my way home, how paranoid I get about just walking home. In that 10 minutes, anything could happen. You know, Sarah went missing within half an hour of leaving her friend's house.
And like, you know, she was wearing all the right clothing. She was in a busy area. I think, wasn't she on the phone to her boyfriend as well, or something like that?
Just like her boyfriend.
Yeah, she was like, that's the thing, like, that's a big thing for, like, that hit home for a lot of people, I think, is that she was doing all the things that we would have always been told to do when we're walking alone in the dark, and this still happened to her. And it's happened to many women, and you know, that hasn't been publicized as well, like, and it's just, you know, I keep on seeing it as like, Sarah is all of us except we managed to make it home.
Except we
just like, it just hits home.
Yeah, it really does. And it's difficult just to think about, like, the fact, I don't know if you've seen that, maybe like within a couple of miles there was another girl that got sexually assaulted that night, within a couple of miles of what happened to Sarah. And I was reading about this earlier. I might have sent you the link on Instagram. I'll have to send it to you or not. But there was a girl who, she was devastated, because she was like, that could have been me, because she got sexually assaulted within the area, literally within like a couple of hours of that happening. And I don't know if actually anyone knows this. Someone informed me about this the other day, and I've actually just looked into it today and managed to find something about it. But the policeman's wife was also arrested, and no one said anything about this other woman being arrested in conjunction with the case, but they think that she's involved. And they there's no official word about it, but obviously they found her body really quickly, which is, you know, no one wants to find a body, want to find her alive. But his wife, they're thinking, well, the public are sort of speculating that she knew about it and she told them where the body was. Because maybe. You know, you'd think so. I was reading about where he had a family home on, like, in the Dover Cliffs. I don't know if it's Dover Cliffs, the Dover Cliffs. and you know, you'd think that they'd search that first. I think they
Yeah.
might have, but then suddenly they went to Ashford.
Yeah, it was quite far away,
And
isn't it, where her body was
random.
found?
It's a bit random, and it's really far from London.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
they just went straight there because obviously they must have had a tip off from her.
must have been.
So, but she has been, but we don't know because it's still just speculation. So she has had to like delete all of her social media because she's been subjected to a lot of online bullying, which, you know, considering the situation, it's difficult because, you know, no one deserves that, especially if she didn't actually know anything.
Yeah.
You know, if she does know something, they need to say, like, rather than twisting the story to be how they want it to be, policeman and then, you know, the girl.
Yeah.
They need to just, you know, say if she's actually involved too, because
Yeah,
we should know this. It's not always just men. You know, men obviously are mainly the perpetrators, but, you know, look at the Jeffrey Epstein case, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah.
She was like a traitor to women.
Yeah,
completely.
exactly. And because obviously, like, it's so easy to blame just like one group of people and just isolate everyone. And you know, obviously there are women out there that do it. Like, I was looking up some facts today, and like, there are still like there's 650,000 men that have still experienced sexual assault.
Yeah.
Whether that's from other men or from women, that's still a high number.
Yeah.
Yes, for women it's a lot higher, but that still doesn't devalue the amount of men that still go through.
And I think it's important to bring that up because, you know, obviously we are focusing on trying to raise awareness about what women go through because it's so important. And obviously throughout history, women have been oppressed in a way because obviously it's a man's world. Unfortunately, it still is. And it's going to take a long time for it to change. But hopefully this starts something at least. But
well, I think I've seen a change in a lot of, especially guys as well, being like, I didn't realise these sort of like facts were true and stuff. And it's like, and they seem genuinely interested and genuinely want to change their ways if they have been like that in the past, which is really encouraging to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's really encouraging. I think, you know, if guys have been like that in the past, you know, you need to acknowledge that. You don't even need to acknowledge it to everyone around you. You need to acknowledge that to yourself and work on yourself and become feminist, because feminist makes it sound like, oh, women are better, but it's literally like this is exactly what this is all about. It's about equalizing us, making sure that we don't have to feel like this and we don't have to feel scared of men, because unfortunately until you start to do something to change the other people around you, you know, like most men tend to be friends with a group of men, so unless you do something to change some of them, because you might not know what your friends do. Like, you don't know what I do all the time. You don't know I could be doing something illegal. Like, you don't always know what your friends are doing all the time. So having these kind of conversations is so important amongst men.
I think like with like especially like lag culture and stuff, it's easy to sort of get wrapped up in it and stuff, but I understand it's hard sometimes if there's a joke going on, but it is like really just rude and like disrespecting women, and to an extent where it's like, okay, that's not a joke anymore. You've got to have that strength to call it up. I know that I've been in situations where I know that I should have called something up that like mate said as a joke, and I could be like, that's not actually funny. You don't want to be like the killjoy, but at the same time you've got to be like, mate, that's not funny. Like, say if like one of your guys like hits a girl on the bum or something like that, or wolf whistles at her, like, are you going to be like, really, you should turn around and be like, oi mate, that's not all right, and then apologize to the woman, be like, I'm really sorry.
You know, having those conversations amongst you as well. If you speak up and say something, more likely one of your friends will agree with you and he'll chime in and be like, yeah, you know what, he's right, that's not okay. And you start to change the behaviour and the dynamic of your group of friends and the people around you.
And it's for the positive at the end of the day. Like, no one wants to go through this, and I don't think, you know, unless you're a real like weirdo and sicko, no one wants to be someone that like upsets and makes women feel uncomfortable.
No.
Like, obviously there are going to be situations where you unintentionally do so, but no one's perfect at the end of the day, as long as you're trying.
Yeah.
That's all you can really do. And I think that's what, as long as everyone starts to like try,
Yeah.
and if we as women help set out some, like, not even guidelines, it sounds like too strict, but like some advice to
Yeah.
help.
Or just like just with your friends that are female, like I'll just ask questions like,
Yeah,
oh, so you know, what have you experienced? Are you in the 97%? Like, what can I do to help you? Are there
yeah,
any things that you can recommend that I can do when I'm around my friends? Like, just like any questions you have that of things
exactly.
you might want to know, just ask your female friends. If you've got a
Yeah,
girlfriend, ask your girlfriend, ask your mum, ask your sister, ask whoever.
and make it not such a taboo topic as well. I do
Yeah.
feel like stories about sexual assault and harassment until now has been very much like, oh, we can't really talk about it. I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to be told I'm a liar. I don't want to not be listened to properly. I don't want to get laughed at. Whereas now I feel like the conversation's very much been changed to, if you bring it up, someone hopefully will take you seriously.
And you know what? That
Because,
one person is way more important than all the other people that might laugh at you,
exactly,
or joke about it.
exactly. You just need one person to talk to about it, and that's enough. Because, you know, if you do go through something like this, it's not something that you should keep bottled up. Like, I understand it'd be really hard, especially for the more serious cases like rape, to go and talk to anyone about it. I don't think many people would want to do that. I know that a lot of people wouldn't want to bring it up to the police with everything that they get,
Well,
like,
it's
called for
triggering.
and
You know,
everything.
the police questioning when it comes to rape and sexual assault is
It's intense,
very intense, and
which
they
is
ask
understandable.
every little detail. And it's just if it's just happened to you and you go straight to the police, it's like, from what I've heard, it's like experiencing it again, but it's just like in your mind, it just,
Mm,
you know, you want to try and do everything you can to forget about it happening.
yeah. It's hard because they're like, on one side it's like, if you can catch a person that's done it, then that means that it will most likely not happen to someone else, but at the
Yeah,
same time you've got to protect your own mental health.
yeah,
It's a shame that there's not a way that it can be brought up, like, up to the police and done in a nicer way, but I
yeah,
understand why they need to go through such vigorous questions, because there are, what is it, like 2% of people that lie about it,
yeah. That
and then obviously that then frames everyone else being like, oh well, you could be a liar even though it's only like 2%.
yeah.
But then it's like, then these like really rigorous like questions have to be brought in to make sure that they aren't lying.
Yeah, it is difficult. Like, but that's the thing. This is still why this conversation needs to be had, because of that whole, you know, you'll see that post. Everyone knows what that image is. You see it on Instagram all the time of all the people, and it's got highlighted the amount of women that get sexually assaulted or raped,
Mm,
and then the amount of people that report it, the amount of reports of people actually getting prosecuted for it, and then the
yeah,
amount of people that actually lied about it.
yeah,
Very rarely, because of the amount of people that actually get, you know, charged and put into prison or whatever happens to them, that 2% of people that lied, they most likely won't be prosecuted for it. You're not going to you very rarely, if anything, you probably won't ever see a man or woman in prison because
mm-hmm.
someone's lied about them raping someone. If
Yeah,
there's not, it's so difficult because they want so much evidence, otherwise they just won't do anything.
exactly.
And speaking of people not doing anything, we spoke about this actually the other day with I don't want to butcher her name. If I say this wrong, I apologize. But Blessing Olusegun.
I'm not even going to try and pronounce, I'm
But a
rubbish
girl, she's
with names.
from South London, and
Mm,
her body was found on a beach last year. And this has just been left as an unexplained death. Like,
mm,
so she was from London. She lived in South London. She worked there. She was doing studies. She was 21. And you know, all of her family and friends and her boyfriend said, you know, she was a really happy person. She was working herself. She's like doing her job. She was studying a business thing, and she was also on a placement week,
mm-hmm.
just for a week down in Bexhill-on-Sea in Kent, right?
Yeah,
Just for the week to help, because she was a carer, so she was helping and staying with an elderly couple.
yeah,
And I can't remember exactly what happened, but she happened to be on a walk at the beach at 1 o'clock in the morning, and she'd been on the phone with her boyfriend and her friend.
yeah, I remember reading that.
They didn't release all of the messages and all the phone calls, but what they did say was that she asked them to don't hang up, like stay on the line with her. I don't know what happened, but then they found her
Mm.
just obviously unexplained on the beach, and
Yeah.
apparently they've done a post-mortem and everything, and they can't explain what happened.
Yeah, I saw that,
But
and
it
it's
just
like,
doesn't make sense as to why she was there on her own, like at
no,
that time of night on the beach.
because I
What
think I read
happened to
something
her?
that she went for a walk because she just couldn't sleep. That's
Yeah,
why she was calling her boyfriend. But
yeah,
then, because I think there's some CCTV footage, but I
yeah.
think like her sliders or slippers and her phone was like either
It
next
was a
to her
few feet
body
away
or
from
on the
her.
beach.
It was.
Yeah,
It wasn't next to her. Where you, like if you're wearing it and you're holding it, it wasn't on her. It was like a few feet away from her.
yeah,
So it's almost like it had been moved. But there, because she was caught on CCTV there, they didn't catch anyone else on CCTV going there,
yeah,
and it makes you wonder what happened. It's not just like unexplained. Like if it had been, you know, she did it to herself, there would have been some sort of explanation on her body. There was no bruises, no
yeah,
cuts, like nothing. No traces of
exactly.
toxins.
I do find it weird how it's unexplained, because
And it makes
if
you
it was
question,
her doing it for herself, it would have been drowning, surely. But
but
I know
then it
it's
would have had
hard.
water in her lungs. That, you know,
Yeah,
that's what it, and it's, I only heard about this week because obviously with Sarah Everard getting all this press, people are starting to speak up for other people, especially people of
yeah,
color who are missing or have been murdered, that have
yeah,
not had the same amount of police attention and public attention
yeah.
as
Because we
Sarah.
talked about this, didn't we?
Yeah, and Sarah
Yeah, because
deserves this, but so do so many other people. And
yeah,
it's really important to like make sure that they are getting the help that they need. This is, I think this happened in September last year, so it wasn't even long ago,
yeah.
about 6 months ago.
Yeah,
And
'cause I
it's
didn't know
still
about it till you
unexplained.
told me about it.
They're still like researching it, but it
Mm.
just seems really odd that, you know, the police are saying, oh, it's just an unexplained death, like don't know why it's happened. Where,
Yeah,
and there's no, they haven't released the CCTV, they haven't released the phone calls,
yeah.
and it makes you think,
Oh,
what are they trying to cover
little
up?
info. Yeah, it's so hard when you don't have all the information as well, because it's so easy to
Yeah,
like speculate, but it's like
yeah, it's,
you come to conclusions.
yeah,
And yeah, like when we were talking about the publicity, obviously Sarah deserves all the publicity that she's gotten, and it's, you know, it's done wonders. You can see how well publicity does to like catch people and like find information. But at the
and start
same time,
conversations
like,
that are
why is this not done for a range of people? Like, why is this not
important.
done for people of like color as much? Not saying it's never done, but it's less
But it's
likely.
not.
But
The only
then,
reason it is done is usually always performative, because the public will start speaking up about it and being like, well,
mm,
why aren't you talking about this? This is so important. It's just clearly because there's still that stigma of like, they're going to put the white woman that's gone missing in the press instead of the black girl. And it's just,
yeah,
it's not
it's
fair.
it's a tough conversation. Definitely,
Yeah.
it's a hard one, because there are so many people that go missing, that have not been
Yeah.
explained, have been missing for years,
And
of
you don't expect
all ages
everyone,
and all races.
we don't expect every single person that goes missing to be in the press,
Oh no,
because
exactly.
that would be ridiculous. And you know what, that'd be so overwhelming, because I don't think people realize how many people go missing.
No, I
Obviously
don't
no
even
one
want
realized
to
how many people get sexually assaulted that, you know.
know. I mean,
And
I didn't even know how many people until that fact came out. I was like, I knew it was going to be a lot,
I knew it would be a
but
lot,
I didn't really, and also I didn't really think about it that much in a weird way. Like, I knew that I'd had mates that had experienced some sort of like harassment and stuff. I
yeah,
know I'd experienced it myself, because you just sort of, as girls, we
yeah.
kind of discuss, but I didn't know to the sheer amount.
Yeah, but even with new friends, it's not something you just like start discussing straight away unless it's happened recently,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
exactly. Because it's like, I found this fact that 1 in 5 women have been stalked since the age of 16, which is like double compared to men, which I think is quite shocking, really. That, you know, that's just someone being like following you, but it's like, how scary is that, having to like literally run away from someone when you're walking, either like in the day or at night,
Yeah,
like,
that's
because
scary.
yeah,
That's why, like, you know, I said like I'm so scared of just walking home being stalked.
yeah,
Like I'm constantly like making sure no one's following me. Like I'll get home and like sometimes if I feel like, not that I think someone's following me all the time, but like sometimes I think if someone's been walking behind me,
wow, you just
like
sort of
I,
turn around.
and they've walked down the same road as me and I'm about to go in my house, like I'll make sure that they know there's a man in the house, like my dad's in the house, or like I won't go upstairs to my room. I don't want them to know which room is my room. Like, you know,
Yeah,
I've had a situation before where this was actually in lockdown a couple of weeks ago. My dad was out on a bike ride until quite late at night, and the alarm in the garden went off on the office, and I was fucking terrified. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. I was just terrified because I was like, if someone's breaking in, what the hell do I do? What the hell do I do? Like, there's a golf club at the top of the stairs, but like, I am now in fight or flight mode. Panicking. The last thing I'm gonna think is I'll get the golf club. I'm gonna think, oh my god, get me out of this house right now.
Because I think another discussion that I've had with a few friends is that if you're in that situation where you may possibly end up getting sexually assaulted, i.e. raped or something like that, what would you actually do? Would you fight, or would you just let it happen because that's the easier option? And I always thought, oh yeah, I'll definitely fight. But if I think about it, like, say if they've got a knife or a gun, like, what can you do? You're just gonna have to lie there, take it, and then that's it. And that's like sort of the hard part about it. If there's an overpowering man, you can't do much about it. I mean, you know, most men, for my body size anyway, are stronger than me. So if they laid on top of me, I wouldn't be able to do anything. And I think that's similar for a lot of women. I know it's like stereotyping, but just in general. It's like with like Kim Kardashian, when she had her rings or whatever stolen, she thought she was going to get raped. Thankfully she didn't. She mentally prepared herself, which do you know what? Quite sad.
I don't like, you know, with the Kardashians, there's a lot of
about controversial things.
But with that situation, like, it's terrifying to think that like that could just happen to anyone. Like, that's happened to people I know. Not necessarily that they've been robbed, but that obviously they've been raped. And every time that I hear their story about what happened, it just makes me feel sick. I want to go and beat up the person that's done it. I want to track them down.
It's awful.
But then you think, do you know what? If that happened to me, like, would I have the same reaction to protect myself if someone was coming to do that to me? Like, do you know what? Like, you know, when I told you the story about what my like boss did when I was temping. You know, you'd think, like, you know, he groped me, and it's not like he just groped me, but he just groped me in comparison to that. And you'd think, you know, I'm the kind of person, now it's happened, I'll turn around, slap them, what the hell are you doing? Like, don't touch me, make a big deal out of it. No matter what anyone around says, like, oh, don't make a big deal out of it, take it as a compliment, like, whatever. No, don't touch me. You can't touch my body without my consent. So if someone's coming at me trying to do that, would I have that reaction? Probably not, because when my boss did that, I just stood there in shock and I went quiet. And
a lot of the time it's shock, because you don't believe it's happening until almost it's too late for you to do something, because you're like, what the hell has actually just happened? And it's like, and
especially, you know, with the percentage of people that are the rapists are people that you trust and that you know, you will be in shock. You'd be like, how is this person doing this to me? I thought they were my friend, I thought they were my boyfriend, I thought they, you know, I thought I trusted
it's them. Like it's like 70% of women are like, well, killed in their own home, which is twice that of men. So, you know, that's someone that they trust usually, and obviously there can be break-ins and stuff, but I didn't write it down, but I think majority was from like ex-boyfriends and stuff, which is quite scary, really, to think that that's so high, because you always get told, oh, it's a stranger. You never get told it could be someone that you cared about.
Everyone, all men, it's always be like, don't talk to strangers, like keep away from men at night and all that kind of stuff. But really, you need to be careful of who you let into your life.
Exactly.
That's what.
And it's hard because it's like you can't just go around and not talk to any men or talk to anyone. You can't live your life like that, because at the end of the day, like, it isn't all men. It's just some men that do this, and it tends to be men that cause
but you don't know
the
who.
issue.
The only issue, you don't know who it is. There's no signs to say this person's going to do this.
Exactly. They could be the nicest person, like nicest looking, and come across like really friendly and stuff, but in reality they're not like that at all. It's like the Ted Bundy is like that, isn't it? So it's just, I wish they came with like a warning label.
Or like you could like get like women's contact lenses, and you can look around and be like, person's on the sex offenders list, don't go near them. You know, this
Yeah.
person's done this, like, but then it's just,
Yeah, and I just think it's a shame that there has to be so many precautions that women have to take, because
yeah,
I think, I don't know if you shared it or someone else that I know, but it's always like the woman is the victim, and it's always like the way that it's worded, it's like the woman has been attacked,
yeah.
the woman has been this.
It's
It's
not a
never
man has done
like,
this to a woman. It's
yeah,
happened
or
to
it's
the
not even
woman,
like,
not someone's
yeah,
done it to them.
yeah, it's always like the victims, this has happened to the victim, and it's like, it's, yeah, it's taken the blame away from who's done it,
Yeah.
and sort of solely highlighting the victim and being like, you know,
Yeah,
look at them, don't look at who actually did it.
yeah, it is. It's difficult, because it's good to know that they are still, like, I've got to say, with the Sarah Everard thing, I don't know if it would have been as big as it has if they found out that it was a police officer involved in the first place.
I remember you saying this.
Because
It's a hard one.
I came across, you know, I'm not saying all police are like this at all. Like,
No,
I want
no.
the police to make me feel safe, and it's a shame that it feels like you can't, especially after what happened last night, which is another thing we'll talk about in a minute. But I did question it. I was like, imagine, like, Sarah, this whole Sarah Everard thing, she got a lot of public, you know, people were sharing her missing poster because it became a big thing. I saw it even before it came into the news, because I know people around the area because I used to live near there. And everyone's sharing it around, is what you do. And then we find out that they found someone involved, and that person happens to be a police officer, and I don't think they expected that. No, I do think it's good that the Metropolitan Police have referred themselves to the I've written it down, the Independent Office for Police Conduct. So they've reported themselves for, like, poor conduct, and to review themselves. But I found this, there was like a couple of pages of a video of someone going through a list of police officers' names, which police department they worked in, what offence they committed, and whether or not they've gone to prison, whether they were going through a court trial. I am honestly, I can't tell you how shocked I am at this list, but I do think that when police officers do this kind of thing, it needs to become public knowledge.
Yeah, like, I think it should, definitely. Not they all do, but it should become public knowledge.
I think any police person that's a public servant that commits an offence against the public and against people, that should become public knowledge. We should be able to find that on the internet. There should be somewhere we can find that, because they're supposed to be protecting the police. I don't want to. I hate saying that they don't make me feel safe, but I don't, like, it's not that I'm scared of them, but I don't necessarily, they don't do anything for making me feel safe. I don't feel safe if I see a police car. I'm like, yeah, it's a police car, cool. Like, what are they going to do?
Yeah, because I mean, obviously in Sarah's case, you know, we don't fully know what's happened, but I guess he came up to her and was like, oh, because he's a policeman, it's fine, like, nothing's gonna happen. So yeah, I do agree. I don't know if it would have been as public if they would have known if it was a policeman at first, but it's good that they've, you know, taken steps towards it and not shied away from it, and then suddenly being like, oh no, like, don't worry what's happening here, avert your eyes. Yeah, you know, they fully, like, embraced it.
Well, they have to, because they know if they don't, that they're going to get a lot of backlash. And you know, it's almost like they've done it performatively again, because last night, I understand it's lockdown. I don't think it's right to do something like this in lockdown, but we can practice our right to protest. And yesterday, had they worked with the people that organised the vigil instead of banning it, they would have known people were going to turn up anyway. And in fact, the way they handled it was disgusting, because everyone was there to not celebrate, to memorialise a woman who lost her life to a police officer. And the police turn up, and they're violent and aggressive, and it's just ironic the way that they treated the women. It's almost eerie of the way that he may have treated her.
Yeah. See, this is a discussion that I've had quite a lot with Tahir actually today, and because he's very good at seeing the other side of things, and it's a tough one, because I was very much like I understand why the police needed to be there. I totally understand that, because at the end of the day, they're breaking a lockdown, and there wasn't social distancing. When I was looking at the videos, there wasn't. I don't know if they were trying, but there wasn't.
It didn't look like
so.
they were trying.
I get that part of it. Thing is, because I wasn't there, I don't know if police were the ones that came in definitely all like guns blazing, or if they came in and because they came in, because it was a vigil, because women were feeling so emotional, like just emotional and stuff, that they then reacted to them being there. And they may have reacted in not a violent way, but like a, I don't know, that then triggered the police to then be more forceful. See, you just, with even just videos, you don't actually know the full story. So
it's true.
It's hard, because they had to be there at the end of the day. Like my friend put up a video being like, so basically being like, well, how come the police are here but not here? And it was a video of like some boys, like race of boys in Croydon, and they were having like a race car meet up, no mask, no social distancing whatsoever. And it's like, in reality, basically the Sarah vigil was very well publicized. They knew what was happening. That's why they were there. Whereas this race boy car thing wouldn't have been. But they probably turned up in the end.
The thing with the racer boy thing, no one's going to call it in either, because the racer boys are there just minding their business. Like they are just minding their business. They're having a little race. They're like, all right.
Exactly. And half the time the police turn up and get them to, they'll just leave anyway.
And
exactly. So
even they might go back and carry on, but at the end of the day, no one, like, if there were racer boys around here, I'd be like, well, they'll be gone an hour. I'll just leave them to it. They're just, they're doing their thing.
Exactly.
But
so, with the stuff that's been going on social media today about the protests, I don't think the protest should be like, the new like law that's coming in. I don't agree with that, because we have the freedom to like, protest. Basically, we should have that. But I don't fully believe all the videos and stuff and being like, oh, they came in all guns blazing, because what reason do they have to do that at the end of the day?
Like, I understand them trying to find, the people that organise it, but even the people that organised it weren't there. There weren't any organisers for this. People just turned up because it cancelled. Yeah, because they cancelled it. So there would have been no organisers there. They can't actually do anything to prosecute them because they weren't there. And they said to people, don't go, but if you do go, please be careful, because they know people are going to do what they want to do. And I agree with you. Like, that we always see the side that we can easily on social media portray the side of things that we want to see.
Exactly.
But I do think, despite whether or not the women provoked them, the way that they were aggressive and violent was not okay. They didn't need to be that forceful with them. I saw like a rather like old woman. She was being shoved and pushed in the wrong direction. Imagine if she'd fallen over and hurt her hip, or done something. At an older age, that's really dangerous.
Exactly.
And there's certain ways to go about treating people, regardless of whether you've got the power of being a policeman or not. Like, you shouldn't do that to someone unless they are physically attacking you and fighting back. Like, I saw a video of a woman, she might have done something wrong. She's on the floor with her hands up, and they were still pushing her to the ground and like being violent.
Really?
Not even hitting her, but like aggressively pushing her and like pushing on her. Like, you don't need to do that. You're probably a lot stronger than her, a male officer.
Pick her up or something.
Like, just take her hands. You don't even have to be really gentle, but just like take her hands behind her back from up there and handcuff her if you're going to do that. They didn't. They put her on the floor, got her back up, and pushed her away.
There are some things that, I personally haven't watched many of the videos because I don't want to sort of fall into it too much, but it is very much like, it's so easy to portray things that you want to be portrayed on social media, like, and it's so easy for the like wrong side of the story to get told, or just one side of the story to get told. Even though video footage shows a lot, it doesn't show everything. I saw this.
It will show the narrative that you want to be portrayed.
Because I saw this video, it was at the protest. It's probably one of the only ones I've really watched, and it was round the bandstand, and there was women's like standing there, and then police right behind them, and then just off camera something happened, and then all of a sudden the police just started like taking the women in. So I don't know what happened, but clearly something triggered that to trigger the others, because the others weren't doing anything. They were just standing there, and the police were just standing behind them. So it's a hard one. And also, like, with protests, as much as I do agree with them, there are times when they have actually gotten in the way of like life-saving services. I put it on my story,
Yeah.
but I don't agree with it when they block off roads and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember what protest it was, but it was blocking off ambulances and they were taking people that were dying to hospital.
I saw that
And
last
I
year.
don't actually know if the person made it because of this protest.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all well and good, but when you see like an ambulance trying to get through, use your common sense and let them through.
It needs to be appropriate. It needs to be in an appropriate location, regardless of whether it's locked down or not. It needs to be an appropriate location.
Exactly.
Do you know what? I'm glad to say, like at the Bournemouth BLM protest last year,
It was very
through
good.
the gardens, and obviously we walked up and crossed the road to the council building, and there was an ambulance at one point, but everyone just moved out of the way because obviously it wasn't as big as London protest. But you know, you recognise, you know what? Yeah, we're protesting, but there's an ambulance here. Like it needs to go through. It needs to go down the road. Like just let it through.
Exactly. Like don't be stupid. It was a very good protest, I thought, because I was arming and ahhing about going, and I was like, if it's too busy, I'm just gonna leave. But everyone was social distance,
wearing masks,
everyone had masks on, and it was very peaceful. There was no violence or anything like that.
Yeah.
The police that were there were very helpful. They weren't like running or anything like that. So it's just a shame that more protests can't be like that, because I feel like you can do more if everything was like that. Obviously, there are going to be a handful of people that want to cause trouble, and those are the people that tend to end up getting portrayed. It's like with the Black Lives Matter protests in like London and stuff, there was a handful of people that started graffitiing and like destroying stuff and being violent. But
like in America, it was portrayed that obviously peaceful protesters were all rioters, which they weren't. It was it was the opposite. The people that were against it were coming to manipulate the situation and be those rioters and give it that bad rep because they're trying to do what they can.
Yeah, and it just takes away from the cause as well. As soon as you put something bad out there, everyone will concentrate on the bad side and not the good. Yeah. So let's be real. Everyone wants a bit of drama. Everyone wants to know the negative thing that's going on. They don't overly care about the good things.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why the news is always full of bad stuff.
Yeah. It's I forgot what I was going to say then. Sorry, my brain went blank. It's been a long day. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning. So
fair play.
Yeah. But it's just but we need to like just continue having this conversation, like, and not stop, because you know last year it's made a massive difference already with the BLM movement. Yeah. And it's really important to do that with everything that's important, you know, try like keeping the BLM conversation going, which we'll do on this as well, but also bring women's issues into it, because it's something that's still so ignored. Especially in communities with people of colour, where they have to deal with it on a more
they have, like, women of colour have more against them than what we do. We're more privileged than them because we're white.
Yeah.
So I
was trying to say,
they've got double whammy, and I really, you know, I feel for them because it's not fair.
And it shows obviously with Sarah Everard's case being so big and everyone being so moved by it. And obviously last year with Shukri Abdi, she was a little girl and she was killed. And they did not put nearly as much effort into prosecuting her killers. Although, look, I understand they are kids, but you know what, they're teenagers. They know, you can't tell me that they don't know the difference between right and wrong. Killing someone, and they've ruled it an accident. They've ruled it an accidental death, and it's just disgusting.
I don't know much about the case, but I mean,
it's only within like the last few months that it's been like officially ruled an accident. And you know, Shukri Abdi, like, it didn't really get a lot of press. It got a lot of social media presence with the BLM protests, but obviously within that community it's still very much a thing where we're trying to get justice for her. But otherwise, like, everyone else has forgotten about it.
So it's keeping, like you said, keeping the conversation going, keeping us informed as well. Like, we don't know everything. We want to learn stuff. But it's been like really interesting just talking to you and just talking about this, and it's been fun coming on and
definitely.
talking about it.
I'd love to,
Having a little ramble.
yeah, and I want to say, like, we're having this conversation, but I want people to like comment and put things that they want us to talk about, give us ideas, like join our live. Like, we live near each other, so we could do like a socially distanced live together and have a conversation with someone else on here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Together, because it's not just a conversation between me and you. We want to make it a conversation with everyone, and we want it to become the norm to talk about these things, because
definitely. And get a range of views as well, because you know, like, we have
a lot to learn, both of us.
Exactly. I mean, like with the Black Lives Matter stuff, I learned so much during that, and I've still got so much to learn. I want to learn more about that. And I'm sure people are the same with the movement at the moment, with like women equality and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, doing more about it. Because I mean, at the end of the day, who doesn't want to learn to improve themselves and improve the society that we live in?
Exactly. I think if you don't, I think a lot of things if you don't. But you know, and I want to as well, like, obviously we've got our perspectives of what all of this is. I want to know like what a women of colour's perspective of women's issues are. I want to know what their experience specifically is within this realm, because
we can't speak on their behalf at the end of the day.
Yeah, we can only speak on our own experiences. We can't speak on their behalf, and we can try and understand it, obviously with empathy, with similar experiences, but it's not ever going to be the same.
No.
So I think, yeah, that's really important, and it's just good to make it wider knowledge. It needs to become general knowledge. People need to know this, and people need to talk about it, and it needs to like be destigmatized, basically.
Definitely. But I think we've covered a lot today. We've chatted a lot. We've chatted
for like an hour.
We said we'd keep it to half an hour.
Yeah, like 20 minutes, half an hour, but here we are. I feel like it's just been a really good conversation, and it's just kept going.
Yeah, it's a good starting point, and we can refine it and cover more topics in later episodes. Later lives.
Like this will be posted on both of our IGTV, or hopefully we can do that, both of us. But if not, I'll just save it.
I don't know how you save it. I don't know if it's you that saves it.
We'll sort it out in a minute. But it'll be on there. So if you haven't watched it and you want to watch it and like see what we've talked about, we basically covered talking about Sarah Everard. We've covered Blessing, who is a case that a lot of you won't have heard of, and we've talked about like some of our own experiences with sexual assault and things that have happened with friends, and just like kind of covered like quite a lot of topics within this, just to get the conversation going. But we want you to like comment, leave us like ideas, send us a message, leave a comment on the IGTV when we post it.
Give us like ideas, tell us your stories.
If you want to
join a live,
join a live. I'd love for people just to join a live with us, like from different places in the world. I've got a lot of friends that live all over the place, from different backgrounds. Like, we want to know what it's been like for you. If you're happy to share anything that's happened to you, that'd be amazing, because I think it's really important that people know, what people are coming forward and talking about this. I don't think you should be embarrassed. Like, I personally now, I don't feel embarrassed about what's happened to me.
No.
And there's a couple of other things that happened to me around the same time as what happened to me, and I haven't talked about it yet, and I will at some point in the future, but I don't want to make this all about me and my experience. I want to talk about everyone's experiences and talk about what other people have been through too.
Definitely.
So leave us comments, send us messages. If you don't want to come on a live, but you don't mind us sharing your story, whether it's anonymously or if you don't mind us saying who you are, then send a message, give us a call if you know us, and tell us about it, and we will share that as well.
Well, thanks to anyone that has watched, and if anyone has actually stuck for the whole video,
I think
done the whole live, then fair play, and thank you for listening to us waffle on. I hope you found it interesting.
And I hope that I hope it sparks something, like something we've said has sparked something in your head to like have a conversation with one other person. Like, I challenge everyone that's seen a part of this to like talk to someone in their life about one of these topics, about something that's happened to them. Talk to someone close to you that you haven't like disclosed something that's happened to you with, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
It does take a weight off your shoulders, and it's not something nice to bond over, but it does make you feel better to know you're not alone. And you're not
Yeah,
alone, because 97% of people our age group have, unfortunately,
exactly.
with this. So
Cool.
yeah.
So we'll figure out how to save this.
Yeah, so I'm gonna end the live now. It will
Okay.
be saved to IGTV, and I'll message you in a minute, Alina, and we'll sort it out.
Send it.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you everyone who listened and watched
Yeah.
us.
Thanks.
And I
Bye.
hope it was good. Bye.
Bye.